Sir?
ATIPP.
Okay.
Yeah.
APACT?
APICT.
Yeah, okay. IPACT, I have.
IPACT,
Is
yes, yes.
that correct?
Sure.
Okay.
Yes.
Thank you very much. Then I call upon the Tao Foundation. And there we have received a written English version. Yeah. And try again to be as short as possible. We have the written submission, please.
Good afternoon. I'm Shina Mapefu. On behalf of the Tao Foundation, I'm making the presentation in relation to Article 1 of ICCPR, particularly the nuclear waste disposal on Lanyu. In response to the list of issues submitted here, the mainstream basically does not want to take care of the nuclear waste. As a result, they simply dumped that upon the indigenous peoples. Lanyu is the island they have picked. Right now, the amount of nuclear waste on this island is 24 times the number of indigenous peoples on it. And right now, we know that government is now picking another township in Taiwan to dispose of the nuclear waste. However, it's again a township mainly inhabited by indigenous peoples. In fact, both Lanyu and the Nantian village are close to the sea. They are definitely not the safest places to store nuclear waste. So the Act on Indigenous Peoples' Basic Rights has made it clear that government shall not violate the willingness of the indigenous peoples to store harmful substance in their community, but the government continues to do this. So we believe that government should promote nuke-free policies or nuke-free homeland policies. The fourth nuclear power plant should be suspended from operation. No new nuclear power plants shall ever be established or set up again, and all the existing nuclear power plants should be scheduled to retire going forward. And all the nuclear waste has to leave Lanyu. There should be an adequate and open mechanism to take care of the existing nuclear waste site. Local people must have the right to oversee what is to be done with the existing nuclear waste site. A third independent, impartial organization should be commissioned to engage in a survey of the health of the indigenous peoples on this island, so as to see what healthcare policies have to be enacted to ensure the right of these indigenous peoples to health. When it comes to the choice of site for nuclear waste storage, government must stop focusing on minorities, ethnic minorities. Rather, there should be a more transparent decision-making process. Again, I'll conclude here, and please refer to paragraph 44 to 49 in our shadow report. Thank you.
Then I call about the Environmental Jurists Association.
Good afternoon. My name is Shanthi Dairiam. I'm the director of the Environmental Jurists Association, and also attorney at law in Taiwan. And I'm currently the director of Taipei Bar Association. I'm also the chair of Environmental Law Committee of the Taiwan Bar Association. And right now, I'm going to provide some information to the committee about some information regarding the list of issue number 8, which is about the Taiwan court's attitude to the treaties. And according to the Taiwan government's information about the several judgments referred to the treaty, ICCPR and the ICESCR, there are only 2 cases are relevant. And these 2 cases actually is very rare. Most of the cases, according to our experience, we find that the court rarely positively cite the rules or interpretation of the treaties. And most importantly, not just very few cases the court positively cite the rules of the ICCPR and ICESCR. Actually, there are several, and I think quite a lot of cases the court denied the people's right under the ICCPR and the ICESCR. And I'm going to tell the review committee about 2 cases. And the first case is about the Aboriginal cases. Actually, the several NGO representatives just provide some information to the committee about Aboriginal people's right, whether they are protected under the treaties. And my one case is I handled is referred to the Lukai tribe. They live in southern Taiwan, and they are forced to move their resident places from their original hometown to another place, which is more close to the platform. And we represent the Aboriginal people to file a lawsuit to the court, and the court clearly said that the adequate housing right is violating, and also the free prior informed consent principle is violated. But the court did not conclude that the Aboriginal people's right is violated. The court just said that this is subject to the administrative authorities' decision. We think that's not right. This is clearly violating the people's right under the treaty. And another case is about the science park cases in central Taiwan. We filed cases for the farmers to the court, and the court made a decision to overrule the farmers' lawsuit. And in the judgment, the the court says that whether the administrative authorities' decision is violating the treaty, the court decide there's not any violation. But actually, the court says that because such violation have to rely on the Pacific local law to decide. If there is no any particular local law passed by our Congress, the judge does not want to make any decision to say that violation of the treaty is against the law. So that is the two cases for the information. Thank you.
Thank you very much. In order not to discriminate against the economic, social, and cultural rights, we are now moving to the other list for 5 organizations, and then we are coming back to the civil and political rights NGOs.
Yeah. Well, actually, we have a couple more, in fact, I see that we have 22 groups who wish to take the floor on economic, social, and cultural rights, and we have 44 minutes. So for
you have only 5 now.
No, it's 2 minutes each. Okay, but the idea is that perhaps you should realize the cases that were brought were very, very helpful, but the written documentation that we have is so full, we are all aware, we've read it all, you see. So what we really are interested in this dialogue is, in the 2 minutes, you can't make a speech. So just to say, what is your priority concern that you think we should definitely take up? And that might be just one issue out of 15. Just pick the most important thing, and then that will help us. The other things we have in the alternative report and in the written submissions that you've done. We really appreciate your work, but please do understand. So I now have the Environmental Jurists Association.
No, we just have them. We just had them.
Actually, we combine these two together in one presentation.
Okay, so we saved you one.
Yeah.
Okay, good. Now, okay. Okay.
But that's ICCPR.
We'll do that later.
That's fine.
Okay. So then we have the Taiwan Labor Front. It's again on ICCPR, isn't it? Is it?
No, Labor Front.
Okay, and 27. Okay, never mind. So the Taiwan Labor Front. Who would like to take the floor? Is not here. Okay. Then we have the League of Welfare Organizations for the Disabled. Okay. So perfect. Please come. Perfect. Which groups are you representing?
I'm from Taiwan International Workers Association, TIWA.
Okay.
And because actually Labor Front and the TIMA, they are also focused on the migrant issue, so I'll be the one, and they are giving more time to talk. That'll be okay. And our organization was established since 1999, and our focus on migrant workers. So since it seems that I'm going to have 6 minutes, but anyway, our focus has been like 5 main issues in our long struggle for the domestic migrants' rights and migrant rights. So as I have mentioned on our response to the national responses, there is a very big issue about the domestic workers' rights. Since 2004, our proposal to protect the domestic workers' rights has been proposed in the legislative yuan. But for so many years, the government of Taiwan doesn't have any response until the last president of the COA, Wang Ruxian, I forgot her English name, but whatever, the previous one, she started to have some dialogue with us to try to legislate the law to protect the domestic workers. But then it stopped. And as the response from the government, it seems that they have tried so hard to do it. But actually, since 1992, when we have the legalized channel to import domestic workers, and so far it's more than 2 decades, and there's nothing been done. So lots of rape cases, sexual harassment cases, runaway cases, and also the foreign debts. All these cases happen on the domestic workers. They will have no choice because in Taiwan, the policy of migration is so class discrimination. So all foreign workers in Taiwan are divided to two, what they call professional and the blue-collar one. The blue-collar workers, they are not allowed to transfer employer freely. So these domestic workers suffer even more. When they got sexual harassment, how can they easily to collect evidence? When they got rape, we have helped some cases, and they have been, raped for 2 to 3 times. They dare not to speak. But when they finally run out to us, when the case was brought to the court, the judge cannot even believe. They will always say that since you have been raped so many times, since it happens, why you complain after so many times? So it's so difficult, for a local woman, let alone the foreign ladies, to collect evidence that I'm sexual harassed, I'm raped. So this kind of situation happened. They were, because of their concern about their foreign debts, and because of their concern about that they might lose their job, and because they don't even have 1 day off within like 365 days in a year, they don't even have channel to reach out. So domestic workers' rights, we have been keep going on. Like once in 2 years, we have a big rally against to promote this law. But it seems the voice become lower and lower. Because of the media situation of Taiwan, because of the government situation of Taiwan, this law to protect the 200,000 more, that's 50% of the migrant workers in Taiwan, blue collar, they are still unprotected. So what we call that, they are the orphan of the law. So that's the most important one. And about forced repatriation, this makes us more even angry, because before there is no protection for those workers, migrant workers who were forced to leave Taiwan, even though they got occupational injury, even though they were forced to go because they don't really smile in home, they don't really listen to, they know how to ask for their overtime payment, they don't just be silent. These workers, if they were not, favored, if they are not liked, gain the heart of the employer, they were easily sent out. So we have been struggling and fight for a long time to finally get 2 gates to protect this situation. So the first one, if they are leaving before they finish the contract, they have to report in the local government to be identified if they are really going on their own will. And if they are not bring to the local government, they might directly send to airport. So in the airport, we are fighting for a desk from CLA to protect their rights. So far, these two steps, the basic steps, and that's what the government are so proud of, that they are the way to protect the migrant workers from being forced deported. But just last year, 2012, October 30, there is a worker who has been saying that he got overtime problem. His punching card only punching in without punching off. So the overtime, he was forced to work in 16 hours without proper overtime, without legal overtime payment. So he is asking for help. But when he was cheated by the broker and brought to the local government people who doesn't speak their language, who doesn't speak English or even Tagalog, so they are trying to talk to the employer and broker, and the judgment is saying, okay, since you are this and that, so you will have to leave. But the worker keep on complaining, I still have my labor dispute, haven't been settled down yet. And still, the local government say, okay, under my judgment, under my free judgment, you have to leave. So they are forced this worker brought by the broker to the airport. And to the airport, there should be the second steps, right? The CLA should ask again, are you going on wheel? Are you on wheel? But CLA desk people there saying that since the local government has made this decision, so you should leave. So they guard this worker with one even armed policeman, force him to leave. So this is so ridiculous that what they proud of to protect worker from being forced deported become the systematic system to press the worker to surrender to it. So these two problems are so far the very serious problem. One for the domestic worker and one for the systematic his own problem. And the worker even doesn't have no way, legal way to sue the government for some compensation. Yeah, so I hope I could have some more time to share. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much indeed, and also for giving the practical examples that was very helpful. I now have the Alliance for the Mentally Ill of Taiwan, and I will just read out the next couple one. New Vitality Independent Living Association and the Taiwan Criminal Law Association for Financial Study and Financial Assure for Human Rights. I just stopped there so that you know which order you come, so that you can start immediately. The Alliance for the Mentally Ill? Who's speaking? If not, then I'll just continue with the next one. Do you want to speak? Come on. Speak. There's the mic.
各位晚安，我是中华民国康复之友联盟的理事。康复之友联盟就是精神障碍的团体，那它也是属于身心障碍者。那我要讲这个身心，因为我们精神障碍是属于身心障碍，那我就
Mentally ill is a kind of disabilities as well. Hello, can you hear me? I'm from the Alliance for the Mentally Ill. Our alliance its priority is to care for the rights of people with mental illness. And mental illness is a kind of disability. I want to talk about some equality rights that we should enjoy. In the Social Benefit Act, it states that it protects people. But this act only provides fund to the disabled people at 50% discount. And the premises for this fund to be given is to calculate the salary that this worker can get if he or she goes out to work, and you also take into consideration the salary, the money the family members of this person makes. But in fact, the family members are very likely to have to stay home and take care of the disabled people, and therefore they do not have that salary which is presumed in the Act. So there's a very high threshold for disabled people to apply for the grant based on this Act. And in the Labor Insurance Act, it only stipulates that a place, enterprise which have more than 5 people should help purchase insurance. But it is not a very stringent rule. So it is not necessary that all the disabled people or people who work in a small enterprise can be protected by the insurance. And it is also a fact that disabled people age more quickly than average people. Based on some statistics, people with disabilities must retire 7 to 9 years earlier than average people. But it's likely that they have not yet reached the retirement age.
Yeah, you've had 4 minutes instead of 2. Okay, sorry. If you can hand in your things, but from what you said, I've read what you want. It's in the materials that we have. Thank you very much indeed. I would ask the following speakers, because we have a great number of speakers, and they should all have a chance. So I'm sorry about that. I really like what you said, and thanks for all the efforts that you made. The next one is New Vitality Independent Living Association. The next one is the New Vitality Independent Living Association. Nobody there? Then okay.
We will save it for tomorrow morning because I have some overlapping issues, so I will talk about it tomorrow morning.
Thank you. I was just going to suggest that, for instance, the issues on mental health, which is such a complicated thing, can be dealt with under ICESCR, under Article 12 on the right to health, where it plays prominently. So we can perhaps spend some more time on it when we get there. Okay. So the next is... Yes, the next is the Taiwan Criminal Law Association for Financial Study. And then the Taiwan Association for Human Rights.
Yes, here. I prepared some copies. Is anyone can help me to pass around?
Yeah. Okay.
Right. 20 copies.
So perhaps the next one, before you start, should also think the Taiwan Association for Human Rights and the Taiwan International Medical Alliance, that they are here so that they can start immediately. Thank you. That we don't waste time.
Okay.
Please, the floor is all yours.
Right. Good evening, professors. I'm Julie on behalf of the Taiwan Criminal Laws Association for Financial Study. I'm happy to present our views about the right to non-discrimination, referring to the Article 2, Paragraph 2 of ICESCR. The current design of the tax regime is creating discrimination against marriage. Equally, is that the abuse of the power to tax leads to discrimination against particular religious beliefs and practices. Different religious groups in Taiwan, they have their own unique rituals and ceremonies to express their philosophies and faiths. The contributions to the leader are not subject to tax as per tax codes. However, due to the abuse of the power to tax, the lack of human rights protection and procedural justice in the tax regime, and misunderstanding and distortion of certain religious practices, particular religious groups have been subject to undue, unfair, and unjust taxes. People's freedom of faith and religious belief has been discriminated against by the means of taxation here in Taiwan. The Taijuman tax case is an example. Taijuman is registered with the relevant authorities as a martial arts, Qigong, and Taoism society. However, the tax bureau treats it as a cram school, running a business despite findings to the contrary from the education authority. The contributions from disciples to the master have been assessed by discriminatory taxes, which severely impacts the functioning of the group. And I also prepared a detailed annex for your reference. Over the past 2 years, 10 of 14 tax cases ruled by justice of the Constitutional Court are against Constitution. However, there has been no mentioning of the fundamental flaws in the current system and no proposed revisions to the outdated laws and regulations by the Ministry of Finance in a state report. As a result, no enough information provided for you to review and to evaluate the protection of taxpayers' human rights in Taiwan. Understand, make it short. Understand taxpayers' human rights is a relative new issue in terms of human rights protection. We appreciate your being here, and we are hoping that the committee members will review the discrimination caused by the government power and request the government, the administration, to respond in this regard. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much also for being so concise. That was very kind of you, in the interest of the next speakers. We now have the Taiwan International Medical Association, Alliance, TIMA.
I would like to endorse what the Taiwan International Workers Association just said, and just to add one thing, and that is the migrant workers face a very unreasonable treatment where when they were tested positive for tuberculosis and HIV, they will be deported within a very short time, like 3 days. So there is no chance for them to appeal for legal assistance. And because of the debt that they have suffered, so I doubt the likelihood for them to go back and get treated. So the act of deporting them actually deprived them of the chances to get treated, and so it deprived them not only the right to health, but also the right to life. Thank you.
Thank you very much indeed, and also for the written material that we did get. Next is the Trans-Asia Sisters Association, TASAT, and then the Taiwan International Family Association, and then Eden Social Welfare Foundation. Those are the next 3 speakers. Yeah, okay. Yeah, but they on a different issue, maybe. The artists.
大家好，我是南洋。
Good evening. I speak on behalf of TASAT. Our association aims to empower new immigrants. I am a new immigrant to Taiwan. I come from Vietnam. Today, I would like to share with you the issue of anti-discrimination and complaints thereof. In our national report, number 27 point was made in relation to anti-discrimination. 3 cases were given in this regard. I would like to point out that 2 out of the 3 cases cited in that report are cases we experienced firsthand. For example, last year, one of our sisters from Indonesia heard her daughter tell her that the daughter's sister at school said, well, your mother is from Indonesia, that's why your score did not perform so well. Upon hearing that, we filed complaints to no avail. Another case was written in the written report concerning the another discrimination case, speech discrimination. In fact, as I said, 2 out of the 3 cases cited did not result in successful complaint results. In other words, the existing complaint system does not seem to be functioning well. We would like to see a more well-functioning system in place so that new immigrants who number in 460,000 in Taiwan at this moment can have a channel to file complaints about discrimination they are faced with. Thank you.
And then Eden Social Welfare Foundation.
各位，我是台湾国际家庭互助协会的工作人员。
Thank you. I speak for the Taiwan International Family Association. I would like to refer to the number 30 in the ICESCR national report. In fact, right now in Taiwan, there's a lot of unfair treatment to international families here. For example, for some foreign spouses from, say, 20 specific countries, the immigration agency would perform interviews before the foreign spouses can come to Taiwan. Similar impediments can be found in the naturalization process. This afternoon, I heard some questions about training for immigration officers and the police officers. Indeed, sometimes such investigations or interviews are necessary to identify the truthfulness of international marriages. However, sometimes the immigration officers may be subjective in judging whether an international marriage is truthful or not. For example, if the foreign spouse cannot tell where the washing machine is located in the family, in the household, then doubts would arise. The officers may even judge such a marriage to be untruthful. However, we believe such an attitude and investigations may very often result in unfair treatment of foreign spouses. Mr. Chairperson, good evening. I'm now passing out my statements. According to the General Comment number 5 of the 11th Conference on the International Covenant on Economic, Social, and Cultural Rights of 1994, state parties have the obligation to ensure full citizenship rights of persons with disabilities. Also, in the national reports, you would have found out that the Taiwanese government believes that the Protection Act for people with disabilities is sufficient to fulfill the obligations. The Ministry of the Interior used to have a special department to be in charge of this matter. However, because of the reorganization of the executive branch, the Ministry of the Interior will be combined with the Department of Health. In the future, there's not going to be a dedicated department dedicated to the services of persons with disabilities. So we hope that after the reorganization, there will still be such a dedicated department to be in charge of this matter. Moreover, in both covenants, provisions are made in relation to the safeguarding of human rights of persons with disabilities. So Taiwan should sign and ratify the CRPD as soon as possible. That's all. Thank you.
I might add that you quoted General Comment number 5 from the Committee on Economic, Social and Cultural Rights,
yes.
But then you refer only to the ICCPR for the disabled, and perhaps that's just a mistake, a printing mistake. Okay. Okay. Thank you very much. Okay. And next we have the Tao Foundation, and then the Taiwan Tongji Hotline Association. We've had the Tao Foundation. We've had. Haven't we had the Tao Foundation already?
各位委员，大家好。那我是兰屿部落文化基金会的代表。
Good evening. I am Ren Junda from the Tao Foundation. We have one additional point to make. We know that it has been over 30 years since nuclear waste was stored in Lanyu. And over these years, there have been many fierce demonstrations and protests. And you see what the site looks like today. So you can see there are great deficiencies in the nuclear waste disposal site on Lanyu. Yet such information has been concealed from the public in Taiwan by the government. You can imagine how dangerous it can be for local residents. So these facts indicates a severe violation of the provisions of the FPAC and the two covenants. And in the general comment number 14 of the ICSSCR, obviously the rights of the indigenous peoples on Lanyu have been infringed upon. So how do we expect multiculturalism to thrive on Taiwan if the situation continues the way it is? Therefore, we call upon you to urge the ROC government to consult the local indigenous peoples in the management of this particular site. And there should be a long-term health investigation of local indigenous peoples, and responding healthcare policies must be formulated. Thank you.
Indeed, I now call on the Mental Health Association, and then the Awakening Foundations, and then the Taiwan Association for Human Rights, which is on Article 10 of the Covenant. And then we will have some more questions on NGO presentation on the ICCPR, and then we will round off with the ICESCR, so that there is a fair balance. Okay, please.
Okay, this is Taiwan Tonsil Highlight Association, the second time speaking. This is reflecting to the ICSCR and of the list of issues, the item 15. So in this item we will only address, especially address that the Taiwan government has no knowledge or understanding about the concept of gender identity. According to the reply by the Taiwan government is confused and misunderstood between sexual orientation and gender identity. In their reply, gender identity was not even mentioned in any place, which did not respond correctly to the list of issues at all. It is impossible for the state to satisfy special needs and to provide suitable protection for transgender and intersex people in Taiwan when the state has misunderstanding about differences between sexual orientation and gender identity, and who transgender and intersex people really are. So we have recommendations. The first, concept of gender mainstream should include sexual orientation, gender identity, and other gender minority. Second, promote and protect transgender and intersex people's rights. States should take active role to promote and protect transgender and intersex people's rights in different levels, include individual, private sectors, and governments. And third, right to work, Employment of Service Act and the Act of Gender Equality in Employment should be revised to include gender identity in anti-discrimination articles. Fourth, rights on education. Anti-discrimination articles of gender equity education should also include gender identity. Finally, educate. In order to educate everyone to understand the transgender and intersex people, to educate public correct knowledge and understanding about transgender and intersex people in schools, social communities, private sectors, and in government. Thank you.
Thank you very much indeed for this additional information, very helpful. I will just take two more, the Awakening Foundation and the Taiwan Association for Human Rights, and then we'll do a round of civil and political rights questions. And I will tell you, it's now 7 minutes to 7, but I'm quite prepared to urge my colleagues, although we've had a very, very long day, to finish it off. We have altogether 2 minutes. Yeah, the interpreters, of course, is an issue. Sorry? Yeah. Okay. Well, let's see when we come to 7 o'clock and see what we do then. Theoretically, of course, these issues can also be raised in the two committees tomorrow under the respective articles. Okay, but the Awakening Foundation, please.
Yes. Dear Professor Riedel and the honorable member in this committee, I I'm an assistant professor in National Taipei University, and I'm also a board member of Awakening Foundation. Awakening Foundation was established in 1987, the oldest feminist organization in Taiwan. And I represent the Awakening Foundation to express our concerns about the issue of feminization of poverty in Taiwan. Women in Taiwan still suffer from equal share of family responsibilities, unequal treatment in work, and cultural obstacles that prevent women from owning property. And among these factors, among other things, consequently contribute to the feminization of poverty in Taiwan. Yeah. Although we ban unequal pay in law, statistics shows that Taiwanese women earn only 82% of what their male peers earn. Very few employers are punished because of the disparate pay. Women are also forced to leave jobs if the employers find them pregnant. Legally, they are entitled to apply for a parental leave up to 2 years and come back to the same position whenever they feel ready. But in reality, in 2012, throughout the whole nation, only 43 women applied for the parental leave. It seems that we have the most progressive labor law on gender equality, but our government has done very little to make the law become reality. Besides, Taiwanese women find themselves still stuck in the work and family dilemma every day because the government fails to provide affordable child care or elderly care system. The public child care service only occupies 20% in all child care institutions, and the private child care is either expensive or unsafe. The cost for child care occupies 11% of the household income and up to 36% individual income. In order to save the child care fees, 16 of working mothers choose to leave their jobs to stay home with children or elders. When they come back to work, they find themselves work as part-time employees or work for the dispatching agencies, which usually provides worse working conditions and pay less. Statistics also show that although women are legally entitled to inherit property, women are twice more likely than men to forsake their rights to inherit the property from their parents. The traditional culture of passing property to sons rather than daughters plays a crucial role in the practice. Yet the government takes no action whatsoever to eliminate this despicable culture. So in our state report, the government has painted a picture of Wonderland as if the women in Taiwan enjoy the most equal status in Asia or in the world, but in reality, the de facto equality for women still has a long way to go. We urge you, Madam and Mr. Commissioner, to consider the suffering of women and demand the government to take the issue of feminization of poverty seriously and take actions to promote the substantive equality mandated by the ICESCR. Thank you.
Well, thank you very much. There is a human right for the interpreters, and there's a human right for some of us who haven't slept for 36 hours. So I propose that I give the last 5 minutes to Manfred on ICCPR issues, and the rest will then tomorrow morning to be discussed in the two groups. But there is one thing. I was given a paper that tomorrow the League of Welfare Organization for the Disabled and the Assistive Technology Development Association for the Disabled also would like to have the floor, but we can do that under the ICESCR. Thank you.
Thanks very much. I have, I think, the Katipul Cultural Development Association, who also provided already a written statement. Is a representative here still?
Yes.
Yeah? Pardon?
Association for Human Rights.
Yeah. But may I first ask, is the Katipul, or here it said Katatripul Cultural Development Association here? Because that was the first one I had on my... Yes, please. Yeah?
大家好，我是来自台东卑南族卡迪布部落的代表。
Afternoon. Good afternoon. I'm Chen Shenzong. I'm from the Pinuya Mayan community. And the Katipo community is Pinuya Mayan community located in Chipen, Taitung County. The indigenous people have been living here for hundreds of years. And in 2010, the Taitung City Hall requested the people of the Katatripo community to relocate their ancestral graves because the city hall planned to build up a park for tourism purpose. But Article 21 and 22 of the Indigenous Peoples Basic Law provides that the government shall obtain indigenous people's consent or participation before taking development actions on indigenous land. Article 23 provides that the government shall respect indigenous people's rights to choose their lifestyle. The Taitung City Hall failed to communicate with indigenous people and therefore violates the above-mentioned articles. The Council of Indigenous Peoples has requested the Taitung City government to fulfill the Indigenous Peoples Basic Law. However, the Basic Law does not have substantive legal effect and binding power, and thus this dispute is not resolved yet. And these acts violate Article 1 in ICCPR and General Comments number 12. And our community believes that after family members pass away, their spirits will stay with the descendants and safeguard the descendants. Therefore, it is a crucial element of family structure, and the action of the Taitung City government to relocate or destroy the graves violates the ICCPR General Comment number 16, 19, and 23, as well as ICCPR Article 17. So our recommendations are that the authority shall not, the authority to self-governance of the local government shall not be without any limit. And the government should listen to the indigenous people's opinions. Our second recommendation is that the Taitung City government should fulfill the above-mentioned provisions and the regulation before obtaining the consent of the indigenous people. It shall not be permitted to destroy indigenous people's ancestral graves, and if it does, it should provide remedies or compensation. Thank you.
With the permission of the interpreters, I would like to give you, since you have been waiting so long already here,
Thank you very much.
The floor to be the last speaker today.
Okay, good evening, Madam and Monsieur. I'm Evelyn Chu from Taiwan Association for Human Rights. We have advocate for exiled Chinese descent, Tibetan, Burma border stateless people to seek asylum and residence in Taiwan. 9 Chinese descent and hundreds of Tibetans and Thai-Burma border stateless people have stayed in Taiwan for more than 8 years. Some of them have naturalized, but some only have short-term or long-term visa and are not permitted to work and cannot enjoy any health insurance, social insurance, or social security. That's against ESCR Articles 6 and 9. And when an asylum seeker enter Taiwan illegally, they are likely to stay as illegal immigrants or be sent to a foreigner detention center for months. Detention is prolonged and there is no appeal or remedy available against CCPR Article 10. And foreign detention center in Taiwan has detained pregnant women and those with disabilities and children against CCPR Article 23, 24, and ESCR Article 10. The government report states in paragraph 140 says that thousands of illegal immigrants who are deported each year. It states in paragraph 141 that there are no asylum seekers in custody, but we know that there are Burmese, Chinese, Pakistan, and other population in detention, and that there are no laws or procedure for identifying and protecting refugees among them. The fear is that if there are refugees in Taiwan now, and that refugees are regularly being deported from Taiwan because there is no mechanism to identify them, and let alone protect them. It's against CCPR Article 7, 13 and General Comment Number 20. Even in the draft of Refugee Act proposed by the government, the non-refoulement principle is not included. Broad discretion is granted without appeal available for decision, and the draft will exclude Chinese descent and Tibetans who make up a significant population in Taiwan. It will be ridiculous to pass a law, but no current cases would be applied or protected. The stateless issue has also become more and more serious in Taiwan, as a Madam legislator noted this morning in reference to the foreign spouses. About 200 women already become stateless and cannot work or enjoy any social insurance and social security. We strongly recommend the following suggestion. First, government should pass the Refugee Act and ratify Refugee Convention as soon as possible to identify and protect the asylum seeker and stateless people in Taiwan. Second, the draft of the Refugee Act should include non-refoulement and ensure at least those rights included in the Refugee Convention. Third, asylum seekers, stateless people, particularly the vulnerable groups such as pregnant women and children, should not be detained in the detention center. Related information and assistance should be provided by the government. Last, the draft of the Refugee Act should be applied to all asylum seekers. Otherwise, the act governing the relations between the people of Taiwan and China should be revised along with the passing of the Refugee Act. Thank you very much for your patience.
Thank you very much. And let me say, we are really overwhelmed by so much information, that there's such a rich NGO community in Taiwan dealing with all different issues and being that well prepared in having provided us, as I said before, so much written information now, which was supplemented by your oral contributions. I really would like to apologize that it was done under such a time pressure, and in particular also to those organizations who came here and who couldn't speak today. I hope there are not too many, but we will have tomorrow morning again in both committees separately between 9 and 10 a meeting with NGOs where you could provide us additional information. For those who are coming to the CCPR committee, we will deal tomorrow with Articles 1 up to 11 plus 27. So please, so also those who wanted to speak today on Articles 2 or 1 or 27 can still speak tomorrow. We have a full hour in the morning. And then we will have another cluster which on Wednesday morning you will also be able to speak then on the other articles of the CCPR. Eibe will still tell you then about the Committee on Economic, Social and Cultural Rights. I would like also to express my very, very sincere gratitude to our interpreters. I know that it was so much under time pressure, people were speaking extremely quickly, and you nevertheless were able to manage the interpretation. I think we should give them an applause for their invaluable work, but also our friends with the sign language. And I look forward to see you all tomorrow morning and hand back to Eibe.
Yeah. Just what's up tomorrow morning in the other group, which will not be in this room but in the other room. Okay, so it'll be Article 1 to 5, and to the extent that we haven't dealt with it today, and then Article 6 to 9 on the labor and social rights. Okay, and the ones from 10 to 12. If there is time, we can begin on it. If not, then it'll be on Wednesday morning. Okay, but then we'll have to do the rest. And tomorrow it's at 9 o'clock for everyone. Okay. Oh.
And the CCPR committee is in this room here.
Ah.
Thank you very much.
Thank you.